I sometimes can't just knock out 4 hours because, I service so many agents. So sometimes I have to break it up into blocks. So it's okay to do 1 hour each morning until your AHIP is done, and then 1 hour each morning until your certifications are done. I think that's a manageable schedule if you at least commit to an hour a day. And personally, I would do first thing in the morning before, everything starts getting crazy. Like by 2 o'clock, my brain might be fried. I might have fires to put out. I might have an agent that has an allegation. I might have a carrier call me asking me to do something wonky for them. I don't know. I don't know what the day brings. So I say knock it out before the kids, want you to drag them into the pool and stuff. It's hard with consumer emails mixed in with carrier emails mixed in with Delta and Southwest and Bath and Body Works. You guys know that I say use your Bath and Body Works or something else. But like I send all my carriers to a different email, not the one that you guys use, but I use a different email. It doesn't have to be a fancy domain name or anything. Like I put this on info@topflightmedicare.com. So all my carrier emails go there, so I can just streamline it and delete the stuff that I don't need to look at. Like I get invited to DSNP training every day, right? But you should have gotten invited to this, and the carriers will start emailing out the ones for the ones that haven't announced their dates yet. Hey, it's Joanna Wackoff here, Medicare Mentors. I have a good topic for us today. I cannot believe that it's already here, but Medicare season recertifications are upon us. Um, you know, but a lot of times we have to like finish our homework so we can go out and play, right? Um, do not complain to me about certifications. I get to do over 38 certifications every July because I am the agency principal of Topflight Insurance, and we have contracts around the country from regional carriers in Pennsylvania and California and Florida and Texas and Michigan. So I get to do them all, and some of them are tedious, and some of them, are rather painless. Maybe 25 questions. I like those, right? So I know a lot about certifications. This is my 10th year doing this. I feel really old. I have a lot of gray hair, but you guys are really lucky because we have a lot of tools for us. So I want to share my tips and tricks to getting through this summer and knocking it out so you can go out and play and have a great year. So I think one of the problems is we treat certifications like a chore, and it's not fun a lot, right? But this is where we get to learn about the changes that are coming upon us. And there's a lot of changes this year. If you didn't think that we had a lot of changes last year with SEPs changing and plans leaving the market, we have even more this year. So as some of you might know, if you did your United Healthcare certification, the robust benefits that are on some dual plans, that's going away by law, and only some people who qualify for what they call SSBCI benefits might qualify for some robust benefits. So this is going to change a lot of our plans drastically. We don't really know what it's going to look like, but a lot of our, lower economical folks, like my little sister even, like I'm going to have to ask questions and see if she qualifies for an SSBCI, and I think she does. But I'm sending out my needs assessments soon, like July, August. I'm doing bulk needs assessment. If you're with me, we have software that does that. I can send my entire book of business, a new scope of appointment, a needs assessment, because I want to know if they have one of those SSBCI illnesses when the first looks come out, so I can start saying, okay, this person, they're going to lose their $200 grocery card, but they have a diagnosis for bipolar. So let me see what plan might have an SSBCI benefit for them. And it might not be the duals. It might be a chronic illness plan. It might be a regular plan. We don't know yet, right? So I think we need to do a lot of homework. So if you know how to use some, Google, or now we had ChatGPT, which has changed in the game of testing, right? It's way better than the index cards on Google that we find. Um, you can get it done in about 8 hours for a new to Medicare agent. For a recertification, it should take you about 4 hours maybe, if you read it thoroughly. Um, I sometimes can't just knock out 4 hours because, I service so many agents. So sometimes I have to break it up into blocks. So it's okay to do 1 hour each morning until your AHIP is done, and then 1 hour each morning until your certifications are done. I think that's a manageable schedule if you at least commit to an hour a day. And personally, I would do first thing in the morning before, everything starts getting crazy. Like by 2 o'clock, my brain might be fried. I might have fires to put out. I might have an agent that has an allegation. I might have a carrier call me asking me to do something wonky for them. I don't know. I don't know what the day brings. So I say knock it out before the kids, want you to drag them into the pool and stuff, like knock it out earlier in the day. Now, what's the benefit of knocking it out early? Like, Joanna, we have all summer. I could really do my AHIP on October 1st. You could. I want to remind you, if you get your ready to sell for a carrier today, that carrier does not tell your upline immediately. It usually comes on a weekly report, and your upline is the one who controls your Sunfire access to new plans. So if you're with me and you do yours on October 1st, the new stuff is not going to show on your Sunfire for about a week, at least. I say give it 2 weeks. So that's another incentive to knock it out sooner. And then you never know when life happens. Last summer I was out visiting across the country. I went to visit Zach to help them with their new baby, and Zach's wife had a heart attack the next day. And then I'm sitting there trying to do certifications with his newborn and his 3-year-old and the 6-year-old. And I was like, man, I really wish I knocked a couple of these out a little sooner. And I'm glad I started it, but I still had a lot to do because I have so many, right? I had agents who get COVID. I got COVID one year. It was August 2023. I was in the hospital dying with an unknown illness. And then the next week I had COVID. Thankfully I had knocked out my certifications early that year because I was in a rock and a hard place, right? And if you've ever had COVID, you can't think clearly. Like it was like just fuzzy for me. So I am a big proponent of knocking it out early, especially if you have a lot of clients, because there's going to be a lot of changes and you're going to want to focus on retention and moving those clients around, and then marketing your new business, right? Marketing new clients. So I like to just get it knocked out so I can get back out in the streets and continue doing my events. I have a full summer flying around the country on top of my certifications. So I have a really, really busy summer too. One of the things I know from my carriers is that they get ready to sell notifications when an agent finishes the carrier certification. Those agents usually get first dibs on any new opportunities that a carrier rep might have. Maybe the carrier rep got a bunch of stores like Kroger's or HEB's, or maybe they have some marketing money and they want to invest in doing some pre-AHIP events. We got access to those last year where, I was having lunch with a couple of broker managers and they said, hey, if I give you money now, can you get me new enrollments now? Because I need enrollments now. And we were ready to sell, so we did it, right? So that's when the carriers know that you're serious because you're on there ready to sell, and they can start opening up opportunities for you. I made you guys a beautiful tracker. I'm going to show you. Let's see. Remove this. So this is an Excel file, Google Sheets file that's in your course now. I just put a file in there. and then Zing is coming up, and then Florida Blue. And look, a lot of the carriers are going to start sending out more emails. So I want to show you guys what an email looks like. So you all should have gotten this email. And if you haven't, when you log in to all the certifications and the carrier portals, make sure that you update your emails. I highly suggest using one email just for carriers because I wake up to hundreds of emails a day from around the country, and it's hard with consumer emails mixed in with carrier emails mixed in with Delta and Southwest and Bath and Body Works. You guys know that I say use your Bath and Body Works or something else. But like I send all my carriers to a different email, not the one that you guys use, but I use a different email. It doesn't have to be a fancy domain name or anything. Like I put this on info@topflightmedicare.com. So all my carrier emails go there, so I can just streamline it and delete the stuff that I don't need to look at. Like I get invited to DSNP training every day, right? But you should have gotten invited to this, and the carriers will start emailing out the ones for the ones that haven't announced their dates yet. They'll start coming in like this. So make sure you check your spam. But I suggest trying to do a carrier a day. Most agents have less than 10 certifications. So don't complain to me about how hard it is. Like I said, I had to do from United Healthcare to Zing to Blue Cross of Arizona to Banner, Blue Cross of Illinois, UPMC, Stevia. I have so much to do. So the way that I'm keeping track of it is by doing this. So when I finish a certification, I'm going to update my username and password. This is the great time to come up with a new password for the new year. I love Joanna 2025, 2026. Usually it has to be like 15 anyways. And I start, I'll move my certifications from the top from what I've completed. So like I'm going to go do my United Healthcare this week. So I'll bump United Healthcare to the top so it shows completed. And I'll just work my way down to some carriers might not release until mid-July or even the beginning of August for some of the regional ones. So I want to try to knock out at least the major carriers and as much as I can before July 31st. I want to try to get the bulk of my certifications done by July 31st because first looks, they're going to be a bear. And the first looks are probably not going to get to us until the end of August, beginning of September, from what I've heard from the carriers. And like I said, there's going to be massive disruptions. I expect more carriers to leave counties, right? And so we just want to stay ahead of everything and just knock it out, right? So, okay, so my best advice, use the certification spreadsheet that I made for everybody, and then make a Google folder on your Google Drive if you use Google Email or a Dropbox for 2026 certifications, and save every PDF, AHIP, Aetna, Steva, Humana in there because you're going to need it again. I've had to pull these up and prove to the carrier that I was ready to sell. At the end of the year when they said, hey, Joanna, we're going to terminate you because you didn't do your certification. I said, yeah, I did. And here it is. It happened to me several times over the last couple of years. So I keep these in my Google Drive in case I need them again. I also save to this to this Dropbox, the resources on the AHIP. And if you've ever seen my cheat sheets, let me show you my cheat sheets while I have a minute. So I have been making cheat sheets for many years now. I usually do this when first looks start coming out and we have an idea of like some of the benefits. And then I start finalizing them on October 1st. I usually stay up at midnight and do these and knock them out so I know where my clients need to land. So some of the DSNPs, like I said, we're going to change all of that. Like a lot of the landscape is going to change, and clients tell you what they want and what they need. They might say, hey, I'm looking for the plan with the most dental. if dental is going to exist next year, we don't really know, right? But if they need to get, dentures or extractions done, or, root canals, they might say, hey, Joanna, I'm looking for the plan with the most dental for 2026, or I'm looking for the plan where I have the lowest out-of-pocket copays on my specialist because I'm seeing a couple specialists every month. They usually tell you what they're looking for. So I make a cheat sheet now. So I'm probably gonna, start doing mine and see if they really do effectuate theirs. But there's gonna be massive changes on the outlook. So I suggest to find a friend or a couple of y'all in your town. Maybe when you guys are going to these, carrier meetings, if you live in Phoenix, Arizona, like Steve, Steve usually makes something like this, and maybe he does Aetna and you do Cigna, and he does Humana and you do United Healthcare, right? Like split it up like that. Like here in Houston, like I hope Jeff and Chanel and Jeff and Kevin help me build this if we have to do it again, right? So this is my idea, and I'm gonna I'll share this once you guys can get an idea of it. Like I said, if you're with me, I don't know if we really need to do this year, but I'd rather do it myself and have it than think that someone else is going to provide it to me, and then they say, hey, we didn't get the data in time, or it became not a priority to us because something else happened, right? And life happens. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the changes, though. And like I said, a lot of the times we might not see the changes on the first looks. I'm expecting first looks to come out around the beginning, first week of September, but it might be very vague because this past year, a lot of the carriers were very vague, and we really didn't know until the plans dropped on October 1st what they really looked like. If you don't live alone, if you have a spouse and family members, kids living with you, make sure you tell them what you're doing and why it's important that you're doing it so they can help support you. Maybe you encourage your significant other to, do some meal prep with you and stuff, so you can knock out the season better equipped. Another tip I have is to, again, plan for logins, issues. Like a lot of times carrier servers get overwhelmed if too many of us are on it. Tech issues. If you have tech issues, call the tech desk. Don't sit there and say, Joanna, I'm locked out of United Healthcare. I don't know what to do. Call United Healthcare. Joanna can't call United Healthcare for you. If you have tech issues, there's a phone number on the website, 100%. It says to call them. I had Chanel's family over here, staying at my house and everything. So there was a lot of disruption. I love them and everything, but I was trying to hang out with Chanel instead of do my work. So we have to be prepared, especially if you live in Tornado Alley, Hurricane Alley. I mean, half of Florida was taken out last summer. They had tornado, hurricane after hurricane. So let's just knock it out. And just remember, like, I'm doing this so I can move on and finish my marketing. So I have some good tips for marketing. Run a pre-AEP Facebook ad offering plan review wait list. If people think that there's scarcity, they will book it more than, just seeing an open calendar. If someone sees that Joanna has Monday through Friday from 9 to 6 open, they're going to be like, that girl, she's always, I can catch her in November and, December 7th, and she'll be okay. But if they see that I'm booked up, they're going to be like, I need to snag my appointment with Joanna now before she tells me to call some new person that might not know what they're doing. You can send emails. If you're an Atomic client, you can program all this into your Atomic. You can say, I'm getting ready for the 2026 plan year. Do you want to be first on my calendar? You can offer your current clients that, and you can offer people who you've been talking to all year that. So I hope by now you have a couple people in your pipeline that maybe didn't have an SCP that you've met. I know that we've been meeting people who didn't have a dual SCP because of the changes and there was no integrated plan. So maybe they're first on your change list October 15th to change to something that's more suitable for them, right? So you can send out emails like that. You can drop flyers into senior communities or anywhere, really. Reserve your open enrollment appointment now. Now, be careful with lingo. We use the term AEP, but guess what? My mom has no idea what AEP means. So be careful with using agent jargon and lingo towards the consumers and in your messaging and online advertisements. Make sure you just call it annual enrollment, and spell it out. So anybody could say, oh, okay, annual enrollment, Medicare annual enrollment for PPO, HMO, and prescription plans. I even say Advantage plans because my mom doesn't know what an Advantage plan is. She knows that she has a United Healthcare plan, right? So I think that we should do that. Use your technology, and you should have a lot of events planned already. I probably should get Steve back on the schedule to talk about his plans. He keeps me so busy. I think he's up to like 60 events for AEP. I don't even know, but we should be planning events now and your seminar. When I say events, you could be registered sales events, ANOC changes, being in front of clients now. And you don't want to wait until October 15th to start prospecting. Because if you wait until October 15th to start prospecting, a lot of people are going to be, hey, I have an agent. I already talked to Steve. He told me I'm good, or he already put me in a plan and I'm going to sign it tomorrow, And then another reason to get your certifications done, if you're old school and you're still using paper, or you want some paper products, you can't order them until you're ready to sell. So I suggest, if you're still carrying around booklets in your trunk, like 2019, that's another reason to order, to get your certifications done. And then make sure that your emails and stuff has a new language. When AHIP comes out, it probably will have more disclaimers than ever, because they seem to add a disclaimer every year. Last year we had to add to the call 1-800-Medicare, things like that. So I'm sure something like that's going to change. Another tip I have is to audit your tech stack. Make sure that your CRM workflows are working. Make sure your email is, not at 98% capacity like mine. I've been deleting a lot. You guys send me a lot. Make sure your voicemail, Mr. Bernal, is not full. So go through your voicemail and get rid of everything. And if your voicemail is full, maybe it's time to switch to something that is more technology savvy. Like, I think that everybody should be using a VoIP at this point and not their cell phones for their consumers. You're going to get mad one day when your phone rings and you're trying to have some peace and quiet and you can't shut off the phone because Miss Bernice wants to talk to you. And you can't forward those phone calls easily to an assistant and grow and scale, right? So everybody knows I'm a big, we use dial pad in our Go High level. So if you have Atomic, you have Twilio phone numbers you can use. I love my dial pad. I record all phone calls, whether it's a sale or not, because I've had prospects make allegations. So one of my old prospects, actually she was a client of mine, made an allegation that my assistant was rude to her. And I wanted to see what she was talking about, and I pulled the recording, and she was actually wrong. She was the one who was rude to him. If anybody's ever talked to my John is like the sweetest, most easygoing person, but she was rude to him. And he still took it and treated her kindly and everything, but it was a false allegation. And we've cleared a lot of agents from carrier false allegations with, consumers who call and try to make up a little lie on them because they don't know that they're going to do an investigation on it. And the main reason we've cleared the allegations is because we had the phone recordings proving what the agent really said. So I suggest using a VoIP. If you don't have one now, I would get it now while it's June. And so you're learning the system now and not October 15th. That's my take. Especially if you're going to do more remote sales and not face to face. I think this is the year, if you haven't started transitioning yourself, to try to do as many renewals, over the phone or over Zoom, instead of driving to sit on someone's couch just to tell them that their non-commissionable PDP is still a good one for them next year. You want to save as much time as possible, especially on some of the plans that might not be commissionable next year. We don't really know what that looks like yet, right? I use the certs as the spring cleaning for my business, making sure that the carriers have my correct address because I did just move. They have my new cell phone number because I just got a top secret phone number that nobody's going to get. I'm trying to remove my old number from across the world. So I'm just using a spring cleaning, changing my passwords and everything. So it's easier, and making sure that I keep a password cheat sheet. I use LastPass program. It's like $4 a month. I do use that, but I also keep a Google sheet of passwords, and I update it as I update my passwords, because I might log into a carrier on my desktop, and then I might go pull my laptop, and then I might get it on my phone, and I'll be like sitting there, I'm like, man, I just changed my password. Is it I love chocolate 2026 or I love strawberries? Like I'm trying to remember what password I used, right? So I always do use a login cheat sheet, so I'm not sitting there resetting my password in front of a consumer. I don't go into the houses as much anymore, but it's frustrating when you're locked out because you've tried too many times. My last tip, some of you guys might work better with an accountability partner. So I would find someone who has, work ethic similar to yours, and say, hey, Emily, do you want to be my certification running buddy, and keep each other accountable to making sure that we get this done? And like, I know that like Steve and Emily work a lot together, Moises and Krista, I know that like who talks a lot. And like, so just ask somebody. You can ask them, in the group chat or whatever, like, hey, who wants to be my running buddy for certifications? And just keep each other motivated, because it's not the funnest thing in the world. But I think if you have someone who can, maybe they're on Zoom with you while you're doing your AHIP. We used to have Zoom parties in my old house where people would come over with their laptops and do it together. If you live nearby each other, maybe do that. I'm sure we'll see people asking questions in group chat to clarify some tricky questions and stuff. But ask some folks, if you don't know anybody locally, ask them that, hey, anybody want to, be my accountability partner for knocking out, some certifications in my AHIP, and you might make some new friends. All right, guys, I think we need to be prepared for a storm. It's going to be a massive opportunity for many of us. But it can also be a massive heartache if you don't plan ahead. And then, just like I said, just ask someone, do you want to be on my appointment AP wait list, or do you want to be first dibs to my calendar? And then I think everybody should have a Calendly link that's linked to their portals. So I have a Calendly link that's one for new to Medicare, and then one that's a plan change. Plan changes are often a lot quicker because they already know what Part A and B does. I don't have to scare them with, the facts of Part A and B, especially like 80-year-olds and stuff. They already know what it does. So I have two different links, and they're linked in my Spark account. So if they do my, permission to contact, my needs assessment, my scope, then they can select my calendar right there at the end and book on my AEP calendar already. So if you haven't done that and you're with me, make sure you do that. Make sure you link your calendar so they can book when the postcards, the pre-AEP postcards are going to go out, probably the end of August. And then pre-AEP newsletters and emails will go out as well, usually beginning of September. And if you have your calendar linked correctly, people can book on your calendar for appointments that are still open. So make sure you do that. It makes it so much easier when someone just finishes their needs assessment and books on my calendar instead of me trying to contact them and go back and forth trying to get a hold of them, you know? So that's my tips, tricks, and closers, guys. I think it's going to be an amazing year. You can follow me along to see how I do my 30-something certifications. I think it's going to be more this year because I think I have to pick up a couple new carriers for Nora and Oklahoma. And yeah, so
Thanks so much for tuning in. If today helped even one person understand their Topflight Insurance better, then we did our job. See you next time, and remember, we're always in your corner. Take care.